Hey trainers, welcome back to the 2019 Pokemon Trading Card Game Regional Championship here in Hartford, Connecticut. I am John Calchexis Kettler, and to my right is Jeff Saran Wrap. Saran, how are you doing, man?
Doing well, doing well. Nice and full after the great lunch provided to us there.
Fantastic.
Very excited to see what turns out these last few rounds here at Hartford, to see what kind of pans out and what ends up making the inevitable day two.
Yeah, we're basically in the second half of the tournament now, and we have right here a couple of pretty interesting decks. I mean, they aren't exactly anything out of the ordinary. We have Tristan using Pikachu and Zekrom GX, Pikarom for short, and we also have Hannah using a Trevenant deck. So both of these pretty well-known decks, but a couple interesting interactions I don't think we've seen quite as much of in this tournament so far. We've seen lots of Zoroark up to this point.
Absolutely there. I mean, Trevenant's kind of took the back foot since Toronto. It was able to come out of the woodworks, you could say, and really surprised a lot of people there, which is why there was a lot of strong finishes in day two there. But since then, very minimal features there in day two for Trevenant there. But we're going to get ready to get here and slide over to the action right now for round 5, game 1. All right, as we're waiting for the action there, we can talk about a couple of interesting inclusions in between each deck right now. In the Pikarom deck, we do see a one-of copy of Ninja Boy to be able to cycle through his different attackers like Jolteon EX, Coco GX, Zaora, even Pikachu Zekrom. Yeah,
and it's going to be crucial in a matchup like this where the whole concept behind Hannah's Trevenant deck is to get Trevenant into play, shut off items, disrupt the opponent, and hopefully get something into play that has no energy whatsoever. So there are a lot of ways you can get around that, and one of the more indirect ways you could is using that single copy of Ninja Boy to switch out your heavy retreater, get a soft cost retreater like, say, one of these Shaman EX, or even this Jolteon EX with it has a free retreat cost. Between the two of those, it can set up a interesting scenario where what was a great lock for Hannah can be a fantastic scenario for Tristan to make a comeback.
Yeah, I definitely see here that Trisha, depending on who goes first here, could definitely make a big first like response there. First, like big take. I'll take it for early 2-3 prizes there, but it's really going to come down to Trev being able to get the item lock and doing a late game end to catch back in the later game.
Yeah, and I think we're getting word from the staff right now that there was a judge called regarding one of the players drawing. It looks like they hadn't set up their prizes before drawing their mulligan card, where, of course, if your opponent has no Pokemon in play, then you may draw a card in addition to the hand you've already drawn. So it looks like there was a little bit of a procedural gaffe here where one of the players drew the card before they set out their prizes. So generally that's not that big of a deal, but it can make a difference, especially because, statistically it is something different where if you draw your card at a certain point, that might actually give you a little bit of an advantage.
Yep.
And I mean,
yep, fully agree there. And it could be a lot of little different things here. I mean, depending on if she shuffled her hand after or anything like that, to where both players can confirm that the top card is the card that was taken when it should be in the prizes. Not going to be an easy fix. Probably get some type of warning, but it depends on the severity of, did she shuffle her hand? Was any cards manipulated in her hand after the draw? And at this kind of event, there could probably result in 2 prizes.
Well, tough to say where it is a procedural mistake, although it helps that the judges are generally given a lot of discretion in these sorts of circumstances, even at a higher tier event like this one, where for everybody watching at home, it's important to know that the levels of penalties are different depending on what type of tournament you're in. If you're in, say, one of your local tournaments and something like a gameplay error happens, it's less of a problem relatively. It's less severe in terms of its impact on the game versus one of these major tournaments. So major tournaments, they try to tighten up the requirements even more, and it could go either way. I mean, I honestly see this as maybe being a warning, but it's not outside the possibility, especially if one of the players has been penalized earlier in the tournament.
Could be. As long as both players agree on what card was taken, yeah, I agree with you. Could probably more likely be a warning there. Outside of this, though, we can talk about the different meta right now, or we're waiting for this judge ruling. I think it's our first Pikarom we represented so far, and the field looks like it's flooding with it.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of them so far.
Very surprised that it took us this long to get to that on stream right now. I know we try to dodge around and try to get some interesting matchups, seeing the Metagross and the Regirock and such there. But Pikarom still very strong, very powerful, and it has been that way since Toronto.
Oh, yeah, and Trevenant, on the other hand, has been very inconsistent. It has popped up a little bit, it's gone away, It's popped up again, and then it's gone away a little bit. It doesn't really know where it wants to be, although I feel like out of any Trevenant player, then Hannah's list looks like it might be positioned pretty well when by having 4 copies of Enhanced Hammer. The only thing, and I feel like I'm a broken record at this point, I feel like I would love to see a copy of some sort of card that would permanently remove the double colorless energy from the game for the rest of the game, like Faba. But that's just a playstyle thing.
Oh, 100% agree there, and I think this list is also poised against Zork decks because of that Espeon EX tech, do that Miraculous Shine attack to raise the top evolutions up off the Pokemon, and after you spread 2 times Silent Fear, those 60 HP Zaruas go to the discard pile fairly quick there. So this is a very strong deck in this meta. But the thing with Trevenant, to kind of go to your point there, is very meta dependent. It kind of come in the back end where you're not really seeing it as an option when you're doing your testing. It's kind of like how Greninja was last season.
That's a good point.
Greninja was always at a point to where beginning of the season, everyone always went to tech that Guillotine and Break to stop that Greninja ability there and everything there. But when everyone had it on his back foot is when it took a big position and took a really big result.
Yeah, and it's interesting, though, that regardless of the weird shifts in the metagame, I have seen situations where the metagame was, like, incredible for Trevenant, and it still didn't do that well. Because that was the whole major upset in Toronto a while back was that Jimmy Pendarvis was able to beat down a Trevenant that he had lost to earlier in the tournament.
Absolutely there. You know what we'll do here? We'll take a quick little break while we get this game sorted out as far as the judges' ruling. Once we get an answer there, we will follow back up with you guys here shortly and get round 5 underway here at Hartford, Connecticut.
Don't go away. Hey everyone, welcome back to the 2019 Pokemon Trading Card Game Regional Championship here in Toronto. We are back in the action. The previous little gap that we spoke about with the drawing of the card before setting up the prizes for the mulligan, turns out that was just considered a gameplay error minor. So player was given a warning and everything's clean, everything's good, and they're just ready to get back to playing.
So on Tristan gets a chance to go first right now. We do see a Lightning Energy and a Choice Bait go to the active Zair Aura GX. Then there's a Shaman set up for 2, and now we're seeing Ultra Ball discarding what looks to be an energy switch, and looks like it's an eye down the Verse Seeker.
Yeah, those are a couple really painful discards, especially that VS Seeker. Being able to have that to reuse some of the all-important single copy supporter cards like your Guzmas and even the Ninja Boy at some point. Now, that's a little harder to do when you're under item lock the whole game, so dumping the items right now really isn't that big of a problem. But at the same time, if you're cycling through your deck so early on, it would help to hit that VS Seeker to be able to get one of your supporters back.
Absolutely. Here, reducing Ultra Ball for the Tapu Lele GX, 1 attack ability. Such a deck for any supporter card and put in your hand, and it looks like Tristan's eyeing down an end after attaching a Flowstone to Tapu Lele here.
Right, and so Hannah's back to just the exact same situation she was more or less. Maybe if she was holding on to something, she's lost it, so it's a little disruptive, but all she needs, and that's the great thing about playing Trevenant, is that you really don't have a whole lot of complexity to your initial setup. One of the harder decisions that can go into playing a Trevenant deck, though, is tackling whether or not to bench an additional Pokemon. Now, because Tristan runs a Zora GX, he effectively gives himself free retreat by having a Lightning Energy attached to his active Pokemon. So Hannah is a little bit less safe if she doesn't have 2 Pokemon in play, but there's just as valid an opportunity, just as valid reasoning behind having only a single Trevenant in play, but it's a tough call. Eventually she'll need more Trevenants in play, though.
So we see here, Tristan does see it looks to be an Electro Power, Energy, Max Elixir, as well as a Ninja Boy and a Jolteon EX. We do see the free retreat from Zeo Aura coming to the bench here. Max Elixir, definitely going to find that energy there, finds 3, and attaches it to the Zeo Aura GX.
Looks like a quick double check on the Zora GX just to see specifically what it does, having a little check to make sure that it isn't going to pull any surprises. It helps that Plasma Fists keeps Zora GX from being able to attack the next turn, so he can't go too aggro with it.
Electro Power there to discard and a pass.
Yeah, now one thing, we were talking about this earlier in Hannah's list, is that it is very centric around hating on special energy. Tristan's list, mostly basic, a couple special, but because it's mostly basic, that's pretty much going to be irrelevant this game. I would like to see maybe if there's some way around that. Unfortunately for Hannah, like, there are multiple free retreaters right now, so Tristan is able to navigate through any possible block opening that Hannah might have.
All right, we do see a computer search here. Get a search your deck for any card and put it into your hand. I didn't quite see what she discarded there. I think it might have been a Trainer's Mail or another additional card there. However, we'll get a chance here to see what she grabs. I do notice she has a Phantom and I believe Professor Sycamore in her hand as well. But we'll see what she grabs off this computer search.
Yeah, and it really just comes down to the strength of her hand. If she's got a strong hand, just something additional to help herself set up. If not, then something else. I mean, like, of course, she goes ahead and benches the second Phantom, has that semi-mature setup going on where she's guaranteed, because she flashed that energy for us, she's guaranteed to have the turn 1 Trevenant.
Well, now she's hit the Dimension Valley for it as well. I wonder if it would have been interesting enough. She would attach the mystery energy to the active, and then if she did hit the Valley, retreat it.
Yeah,
and then do that
you know, I stand corrected from earlier. Not necessarily guaranteed, but guaranteed to have the option. So by attaching that mystery energy to the bench, she's committed herself into hitting a Dimension Valley or just giving Tristan a free turn of items.
A little bit of a misstep there, but, you know, the deck does play 4 D-Valleys, and sure enough here, we're drawing 6 cards here. She's a very high odds of hitting it, and there it is,
yeah.
Second card. So we do see Enhanced Hammer, and another Phantom.
That third Phantom is just gravy.
Yeah, it's going to be a field of trees here, and holding on to Enhanced Hammer has the Mysterious Treasure for next turn. Melissa's going to play right now, taking away the Enhanced Hammer. Don't need that in this matchup at all.
No.
Nothing but basic energy. And going to be eyeing down another Psychic or Dragon-type Pokemon.
That's right. Not too many dragons here in this list of Hannah's, and I like the Mars Shadow play at this point. Highly disruptive. Let Loose is the bane of this format, the bane of Standard. So disruptive, being able to play it on your turn, shuffle both players' hands back in their decks, and draw 4 cards each. And basically in Expanded, I feel like that's particularly hateful because the whole concept behind several expanded decks is just exploding on the first turn.
Yep.
And I feel like that applies here to Pika Ram especially. So if you get that turn 1 Let Loose going, then...
Ooh.
Oh, my...
Yeah, yikes. Jolteon,
Did you
3
see
energy.
Else?
No, just Jolteon, 3 energy. And then we're going to see the easy Ascension here with the D-Valley, reducing that colorless cost to none. And going to find here a Trevenant to lock out items on Tristan's board. Even if he didn't lock out items, that hand is not the best right now for Tristan.
But you know what? Even with it not being that good, Tristan's hand is pretty mature right now, where he has the Zeraora GX 1 energy away from being able to attack. He has an ability that lets him free retreat out of his own situation. And even if he didn't have that, then it really doesn't cost that much to retreat Zeraora GX anyways.
Oh, it top decks the Juniper. So go ahead and discard a Jolteon and 2 Lightning Energies. Deck's still upside down as he's drawing. But to your point there, he can attack with Plasma Fist to hit for 160 on this Trevenant to take the KO here if he'd like to. Floatstone's already on a Tapu Lele before the item lock was in play.
I can't help but think there might have been a little bit of an advantage just in waiting on playing that Juniper. I mean, I might be mistaken because he needs to transition into another attacker on these off turns when Plasma Fists keeps him from being able to attack the next turn. But nevertheless, it seems just so important to have your energy and as much of your energy as possible, knowing that your opponent is going to constantly have you locked.
Mm-hmm. Here we go here. Easy Plasma Fist for 160. Going to take the KO on Trevenant. He needs to take a prize card after whatever he just dropped. There he goes. And advancing up is the Phantom with that Mystery Energy. Top decks the Enhanced Hammer. Hannah does. And we are going to see the Trevenant here.
Yep, and so now Hannah's put the pressure back on Tristan to have an answer this turn, some way to be able to attack, deal damage to her. She's saying, hey, you know what? That's the great thing about Plasma Fist. You may be dealing a lot of damage to me. You may be able to knock out any of my Trevenants, but you can't attack next turn.
Exactly.
So
that's the effect of Plasma Fist right now. Unless he has a way to reset that effect either through Guzma or any kind of chain of escape rope, then retreat again. Something along those lines there. There is not the Plasma Fist will not be able to attack next turn.
Now, one important thing to know about the expanded format, if you don't follow it that much, is that there are several banned cards in this format in order to keep the format healthier. One of those banned cards is Wally from Primal Clash, which lets you automatically evolve into a Pokemon from your deck. In the past, that used to be a central element of Trevenant decks, both to get turn 1 Trevenants, but also to get out a faster Trevenant break. Now, that's hurting Hannah that card is not around and hasn't been around for months, but the single copy inclusion of Counter Energy is such a great way to mitigate that because it's effectively the only way she could have possibly dealt damage this turn.
Yep.
Either that or just an energy at the right time. And you know what? I think she got rewarded a little bit by the general theme of what she was trying for the first turn by having a benched Phantom with energy. So
we do see here, Dance of the Ancients here, going to be able to remove Tapu Koko from play and put 2 energies from your discard pile onto one of your Pokemon here. And looking right on cue right here, Tapu Koko GX with that Arrow Trail ability. Being able to, if you put this Pokemon on your hand to your bench, you can move him to the active spot and move any amount of lightning energy to it.
I love it, and this has to be a really scary position for Hannah because Tristan already has 2 fully charged Pokemon dealing tons of damage within range of Trevenant, and Zeraora GX is within range of Trevenant Break as well, already up 2 prizes. So Hannah's got to be thinking, okay, you know what, I need some sort of target, but unfortunately for her, there just isn't a target. There isn't something that she could bring up. And so it looks like
we're scooping.
Wise decision right there to go ahead and just scoop it up right now, move on to the next game, see what she can do there.
Yeah, hitting that Juniper off the end of 4 there, end of 5 there. Let loose the 4 and top dipping that Juniper was huge there because Hannah didn't get much off her let loose, and that's kind of the coin flip there, right? You play let loose, and sometimes it can hurt your opponent, but sometimes it can hurt you as well. So she was not able to get much going there after that let loose.
Yeah, and you know what? I felt like overall the theme of that play was good. I felt that the let loose was timed very well. It's just that Tristan had a lot to work with in that game, and so because he had a lot to work with, it really didn't matter that much. And of course, there just isn't a whole lot of basic energy hate, so because of that, the matchup is tilted a little bit more against her than it would otherwise.
Absolutely there. Tristan, able to hit the Koko GX, all these bulky attackers that conveniently hit that easy 110 number before she can even get that Trevenant break. So, one thing for Hannah, I think she continue to get the Trevenants out. I think the let loose was the right play. I agree with you there, and hopefully, Tristan doesn't capitalize as much as he did that last game, and then just really start getting those silent fields rolling there.
Yep, and I can't understate how good that concession was at that point. Where, remember, guys, this is a best 2 out of 3 in 50 minutes, so if you are falling behind in a game and you're pretty certain that you're going to lose, it definitely helps you to go ahead and concede. Now, of course, it's a horrible decision sometimes where if you concede prematurely, but I think she saw the writing on the wall, figured, you know what, I need to finish out a series. It doesn't matter if I lose this game if I win the next 2. And so she wisely went ahead and conceded with only about 10 minutes eaten off the clock. And plus, she knows that because she did that, they'll be able to finish the series up no matter who wins.
Absolutely. I think it's going to be a great series here. I do think the matchup is very, both can go both ways. And I think a lot of it determines on how explosive of a turn 1 that Tristan can have. And if it is an average start for Pikarom, Hannah can put the foot to the gas and really take off in that matchup there. But she's not totally out of the woods. There is let loose. There is item lock in general there. So if she can keep Tristan from really getting those bulky attackers set up, we have a good game here to possibly get to game 3.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And as long as Tristan in his setup does not just explode, then it's definitely still Hannah's chance to be able to win the second game. In terms of what I'm thinking about here, it's tough to say if there are any specific cards that Tristan could pull other than that Ninja Boy. Oh, and we're back to the action.
Hannah has a bunch of mysterious treasures in her hand. Espeon EX to start out with. Not what you want to see, but, oh my gosh, that's like, got a whole collection of treasures here. National treasure here. Someone find Nicolas Cage. Mysterious treasure here, discarding what looked to be an enhanced hammer, and going to look through a deck for a psychic Pokemon here.
Yeah, and so it's interesting where, because Hannah's going first this game, she has a relatively useless starter in this matchup. So in lots of different matchups, I think Espeon EX would be not too terrible to have as your opener. I mean, here that's definitely not the case. It's going to be a target, so Hannah doesn't get the option to be able to just have nothing but Trevenants in play, meaning that Tristan might be able to target that Espeon later on, both for free prizes and to weasel his way out of item lock.
Absolutely there. Mysterious treasure grabbing another Phantom right now. Searching through a deck again with another mysterious treasure, number 2. And we're probably going to see another Phantom here, I would assume here. But she may be eyeing down, if they have the energy in hand, maybe to let loose here. It is at the front.
Absolutely. And, you know, there's a very underrated advantage about how things played out for Tristan last game. Really, he was able to win that without showing off too much of his list. Nothing too intricate appeared. A lot of it just appeared pretty straightforward. So he still has that Ninja Boy sitting in his deck. I don't know if Hannah knows about it one way or the other, but if she doesn't, then that stands to surprise her at a crucial moment in this game, because she's probably feeling a little bit better right now with a 3 retreat Pokemon in the active right now, thinking, oh, okay, well, I'm not going to see the same thing as last game. I'm not going to see a whole bunch of just like 1 retreaters, no retreaters via Floatstone, things like that. So there is a more apparent game plan to follow, as opposed to just a whole bunch of either energized Pokemon or free retreat.
Absolutely. So we do see here to end shuffling both players' hands and draw equal to their prizes, but nothing else on Hannah's side. It's just a pass over to Tristan. We do see a couple T-mail, Max Elixir, which there's no bench Pokemon right now. So hopefully after one of these T-mails, he'll be able to get another bench Pokemon to optimize that Max Elixir.
Yeah, for sure, and lots of options to have this be an explosive turn 1. And
deck's kind of scattered right now. Opts to not take the Juniper right now. It looks like his cards got kind of mixed up in the cut there. Whenever Hannah cut it there, some cards upside down, some cards right side up.
Come to think of it.
Team number 2. What are we going to see here? Choice Span, another Elixir, and a Lightning. He doesn't have any Ball Search cards in his hand, so I'm curious what he's going to opt to take here, if anything at all.
And the Elixir is nice to have as long as you have a benched Pokemon for it. He has that Coco, which he's kind of eyeing, maybe feeling awkward about making into an Elixir target. But he does have Ninja Boy, so that's one way he could get around that. And
well, another thing, too, wouldn't it work that can he Arrow Trail with no Lightning on the bench? He can get Arrow Trail, put it active, and then Max looks to the peek around, but it looks like he's going to opt to.
Yeah.
Keep it on the bench.
But you're right, he could have done that. And it looks like we still have that issue going on with a couple cards upside down. I think we might want to bring that to the attention of the judge just so that we can have that the right way. So, and that's the thing, is that I don't think it's really a problem for either of these players, but you're supposed to have all of your cards the same order, because remember, guys, they're openings out of the sleeves, so you don't want to create a marked card situation ever in a game. But nevertheless, we still have this Coco Energized being the beneficiary of multiple successful Max Elixirs.
And he's switched to active now, going to be able to free retreat if he does find a Zeo or a GX there with that Thunderclap Zone ability.
Yeah, they really need to fix this. I mean, like, you're supposed to have all of your cards the right side, or the right way, and it doesn't really. I mean, it does make a difference. There we go. Okay, so but the thing is, he's on his turn on Hannah's turn. He's going to need to go through the deck and correct it. They need to catch it. I feel like this is a little sloppy.
We just informed our team here, so hopefully one of them can go over there and check on that for us.
And you know, it's really awkward. It's something that you do see sometimes at just all levels of play, and sometimes that's one player's fault, sometimes that's another's. I'm not really casting blame or aspersion one way or the other. It's just it needs to get fixed.
Absolutely there. Electropower coming down here. Floatstone to the active Pikachu Zekrom.
Yeah, and so I feel like Tristan has multiple solid threats on the board right now. Multiple solid threats, and Hannah might be in a similar situation as last game. I'm seeing here, though, and it doesn't look like her list has any way around that free retreating Floatstone.
No field blowers there at all. We do see... We do see Pikachu Zekrom attacking right now, taking the KO because of that Thunder Mountain in play, reducing lightning attacks
Good
by
catch.
1.
Good catch to put it in the Lost Zone, because it is a Prism Star Stadium, and any Prism Star goes straight to the Lost Zone, meaning it is removed from play.
Hannah promoting Phantom right now for us here. We do have D-Valley out. Going to be able to Ascension for a Trevenant right now, but that Pikachu Zekrom is staring down very tough right now. If she does not find another bench Pokemon, Tristan can win this game next turn.
Let's see. We have a couple prizes there. Okay.
Okay.
So
he took 2 prizes. Because it was Espeon EX. Correct.
Yep, so an easy knockout on that Espeon EX, keeping up the momentum and taking advantage of that situation. Well, unfortunate situation of Hannah starting with Espeon EX, but, you know, this may be a blessing in disguise for her because now she's able to have a field of nothing but Trevenants and maybe a Marshadow somewhere.
Yeah, definitely want to hopefully see that there. There's got to be, hopefully she can find one of her counter catchers to pull up the Coco GX on bench, and that way she could at least, survive an attack if there's no Zero Aura to allow that free retreat. But I don't see the counter catcher. I do see counter energy, but, not much is going to happen there.
Yeah, and the unfortunate thing here is there are a lot of last-second 60th, 59th card inclusions that could have gone either way in this Trevenant list that could help out in some matches over others. And I mean, like, for example, Field Blower. Yep.
And we do see game here with the Tag Bolt
wow.
GX going to 200 active, and then another 170 to the bench, taking out both Trevenants here. Quick games, unfortunately, there. It looked like Hannah did not get the most optimal draws, unfortunately, on her end. And it does happen here in Pokemon. A lot of it's based off of your hand draw there and what your deck wants to provide for you at the time being.
And you know what? It also makes a big difference, some of the single copy inclusions you can put in. I can imagine at least about 2 or 3 cards that could have dramatically shifted the tone of that game. Like I was talking about earlier, Field Blower could have been great to bump that Floatstone, maybe work with that earlier in the first game. Team Flare Grunt could have been great. Get that basic energy off the board. Plumeria would have been great too. Plumeria a little bit harder to work in a Trevenant deck because unlike Zoroark, you don't have quite as many ways to recover resources and it hurts you a lot to discard 2 cards, but also a possible option. Just things that let you get that basic energy off the board and hopefully get a big, fat 3 retreat Pokemon stuck in the active.
Absolutely there. So what we're going to do here, we're actually going to try to get Tristan here for an interview and see if we can get some other ideas here on the stream for you guys to watch, all right? We'll be here right back with you shortly. And we are back here with the round 5 winner, Tristan Batman Macek, bringing it home here with Pikarom over Trevenant in that round there. So game 1, had a nice start there, got 2 energy on board right away on his Air Aura. Then you see Hannah, she does have that turn 1 let loose in your hand. Is Jolteon energy. How are you feeling right now with that?
I'm feeling good. I do play for Professor Juniper for stuff like that. Basically, my deck doesn't really have any cute techs or anything like that. It's just straight raw consistency. And I just kind of went from there. I saw Juniper, and I was like, oh, cool. I'm not going to have to – I can play game 1. I don't have to go to game 2 or 3.
Yeah, and even at that point, too, John had a good point there that you had the 3rd energy to take a KO regardless. So, I mean, you weren't completely out of the woods. Slowed down, but out of the woods. And her let loose ruined her as well.
And
so, go ahead.
Sorry. I was going to say I had the Ninja Boy, too.
Yeah.
So I was going to Ninja Boy into Pikarom and then put more energy on board because it opens that. And then when she'd end me, I got Ninja Boy again. I'm like, oh, cool, I can still do this play. And then the let loose, I was like, oh.
Yeah.
But, that's exactly why I put the energy on the Zeraora. And Zeraora is actually pretty good because it's the only thing in the deck that one-shots Trevenant Break outside of Zekrom's GX attack. Yeah,
and that's what we kind of noticed there with that, solid even 160 as well. So let's talk about that Ninja Boy tech there. What kind of led you to that inclusion for the card?
I just think the deck is really, really good. There's some spicy plays you can do. You can kind of mess up people's prize counts. I've had games where someone has hit my Pikarom for 230, and then I Ninja Boyed into Tapu Koko Prism because I didn't need it, and they took 1 prize for all that damage.
I like that.
I play the Jolteon EX, so it's obviously good again for that to just get a Flash Ray out of nowhere.
Yep.
And it's overall a really solid card.
It's a real solid flex card as well. So slide into game 2. You were able to get Pikarom active there.
I started Pikarom. I did not think I was going to get the turn 1. That was the last thing on my mind, and then when I Juniper and I got it, I was like, oh, I got it.
Turn 1, full blitz there.
Yeah, full blitz, and I was like, this game's pretty much over. Just from that, because she didn't have she just had the 2 Trevs about that Pikarom was going to take at least another 3-4 prizes.
Absolutely there. So what kind of led you to Pikarom for this weekend here? I mean, we know it's a very strong, consistent deck as well, but, given the history of the past meta for Expanded, what led you to play Pikarom this weekend?
Truthfully, I have not played an Expanded tournament at all since Dallas 2018.
Oh, wow.
So it's been a while.
Okay.
So I just decided I played a few games with it for the past 2 weeks, and I decided it's really consistent. You can just outpace people. You have so many different options with Jolteon, Pikarom, that you can just kind of outplay people, and it gives you that chance because there's so much consistency in the deck. So I just decided to play it.
5-0, going into round 6. One more win to seal up your day 2.
Day 2, yeah.
Anything you do not want to see going into your next round?
I heard that there is a Durant that was 4-0 the previous round. I don't really want to play that, not because I honestly don't know if that matchup was good for me or bad for me, but I just don't really want to learn it on the fly. So I don't want to see that, and I don't want to see Hitmonchan if it plays Ranger.
Durant is actually paired up against Shocklock right now, so we'll get information on that here after this matchup to see how that's going. But good luck to you, 5-0. Congratulations here. 1 game left, and we'll come back to you here shortly with some more action here at Hartford, Connecticut.